Yay! Suffering!
Uh,
Uh, well, okay. So, this story that we're going to do now, it's kind of famous, actually. It's very, very short. But it's rather famous because I don't know what drugs someone was on to come up with this idea.
of
It's a Harry Potter
course it is.
fanfic, but it's not that Harry Potter fanfic, and in fact, Harry Potter's not really even in it. Instead, you know what? You'll see. I'm not going to say any more than that. All I'm going to say is who's doing the parts. There's only 3 parts
God,
here.
this story is almost 15 years old.
Yeah, no, there's only 3 parts. Enigma, are you able to read a lot of parts, or should I just pass that off to somebody?
I'm in the closet, so yes, I can read.
Perfect, you're ready. The narrator for this will be Flammenwerfer.
Mm-hmm.
Hogwarts, the school, will be played by Enigma.
The school's talking?
Yes, and Priest will play the giant squid.
This is my squid voice!
No, we just had Billy Mays. Don't be that.
This is my squid voice.
I hate this one.
Yes. I hate it, so please continue that.
But Pencil, that's so poggers.
I hate everything.
It's so poggies.
I'm gonna
Hi
sit back and listen to
Hi
you
there,
guys do this.
Hi there, neighbor. You're not being the pog champ I thought you could be.
Stop it.
Come here.
Stop it.
You know, it's at times like this that I remind myself of the 5 B's.
Stop. We're going to read a story called First Encounter by Lyris, Malachi. All right, everybody got the story up?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Go for it, kiddos.
First Encounter by Lyris Malachi. Hogwarts has contracted a disease called loneliness, and the giant squid is the only cure. Hogwarts giant squid, whatever that means. Here we go. Hogwarts sighed, and it echoed within its empty halls. The students had all left for the summer, and he felt empty and useless. Hagrid was often around, but he was usually too focused on bizarre animals to fulfill the needs of Hogwarts. Professors would pop in occasionally, but being a magic school, Hogwarts didn't need much upkeeping. The little he did need was taken care of by Filch. He shuddered, causing small trembles throughout his halls that was barely discernible except by the spiders and owls. He didn't much care for Filch, wishing he could walk without his squib feet touching the magnificent stone floors. He had long since stopped trying to force his floors open to swallow Filch and Mrs. Norris whole. Besides, if he kept it up, he would be risking a prolapsed staircase, and that was no laughing matter. They knew exactly what they were doing here.
Oh, yeah.
The giant squid saw how miserable Hogwarts was. It was true that he also missed the students, but for an entirely different reason. He missed their terrified screams as he revealed himself, rising from the murky depths of the lake. His huge eyes stared mournfully at his very large tentacles. At one time, he had dreams of being an actor. The larger he grew, the fewer agents and scouts would come calling, until they finally stopped altogether. There wasn't much in the market for a squid that would split a schoolgirl from stem to stern. That's great.
Yep.
He stared at his tentacles as they moved gently in the current. Schoolgirls were out. A plan formed in his mind, and he swam to the surface, hesitating momentarily before pulling himself from the water. He ran off his rubbery skin in rivulets as he made his way across the grounds. No humans were around to witness the incredible trek, and no human would believe his eyes had he been a witness. Hogwarts watched the giant squid approach and felt apprehension well up in his kitchen.
What are you doing?
The words weren't spoken, but they were understood.
Just trust me.
The giant squid replied, caressing Hogwarts' outer walls. Oh, God. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yamel, I'm not ready.
Hogwarts exclaimed, trying to push the giant squid away with his magic.
Hogwarts, you're one way, I'm one way. We don't have to be. Besides, you can't keep going around manipulating your staircases, Ulu.
Priest, all he hears, Olga Lord.
No.
You know about that?
No, that doesn't sound like Orgalorg anyway. Anyway,
Priest.
I just read my.
I also read mine.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Sorry. Everyone does it, sort of.
That's besides the point. I've never.
The temperature within rose in embarrassment.
I go slow. I promise.
I grow slow.
He began to caress a window, teasing it open. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, God. Hogwarts sighed, the fight leaving him. He relaxed, allowing the tentacle inside, where it brushed up against the inner walls before settling on the stone floor. He fastened the suction cups to the floor, lifting the tentacle away so that it pulled the floor without losing its grip. Another sigh swept through the halls of Hogwarts.
Oh, Merlin! That feels so good!
For some reason, this feels like the worst thing we've ever read. I don't know why. For some reason, this just somehow feels the worst thing we've ever read.
I'm trying to go.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to go for Gilbert Godfrey here, but
It doesn't come across as that. It just comes across as
Oh, Merlin, that feels so good
Neither
in
of
my
you can do-
vagina.
None of us can do Gilbert Godfrey.
I know.
We need to accept this. And also, we've read Dipper Goes to Taco Bell, and this does feel worse. I agree.
Yeah, we heard milk voice excretia.
Yeah, nope. Let's continue. We've got this.
His rapture turned to fright as he felt the tentacle work its way into a second window.
I don't.
Priest.
Trust me. It'll feel good. Remember this?
Are you okay, fucking Enigma? Sounds like you're acting your part out now.
That's so much cringe.
He pulled the suction cups a little harder and Hogwarts groaned.
Do that again.
The giant squid complied as he did so, thrust his second tentacle in. Hogwarts shuddered, coming very close to ending the fun. The giant squid backed off, unwilling to finish so soon. He waited for Hogwarts to calm down before sending the second tentacle to search the room. He felt the need to fill Hogwarts as much as possible, and he raised another tentacle, caressing his outer walls, running along the windowsills and tracing individual bricks. So caught up in the bliss, Hogwarts didn't notice the giant squid slip in a third and fourth tentacle.
This is incredible.
Hogwarts breathed.
This isn't even the best part.
He held up his two longest tentacles.
This can reach farther than a room. They can go in your hallways.
Oh no, I want them in me.
Are you sure? They're quite large, Uwu.
Apprehension rolled through his kitchen again. While he was deciding, the giant squid forced another tentacle in.
You have 3 tentacles to decide.
What happens if I don't?
In response, the giant squid slid a sixth into another window.
2, Wu.
He said simply with a hint of warning. Hogwarts could take them all. He knew he could. But what would the other wizarding schools think? Would Beauxbatons allow a giant squid to violate her? Certainly not. If Durmstrang ever found out, there'd be no end of teasing. The giant squid grew impatient and slid a 7th tentacle into a window, followed immediately by an 8th.
2, 1. Time's up and you didn't decide.
What? But that's not fair!
It's a simple answer. Yes or no. Now I have to punish you.
Can I just say, Enigma, you actually sound like Richard Nixon from Call of Duty.
All of this is bad. Just
Whoa.
all of this is bad.
I've got jowls for days!
Someone's breaking in! And with that, he struck Hogwarts square on the outer wall with a paddle-like tentacle. Hogwarts yelped and tried to squirm away, but the tentacles and his foundation held firm. The giant squid struck him with the other. Again and again, he spanked the naughty wizarding school until he sobbed for the giant squid to stop, and he still spanked. The giant squid finally stopped, but Hogwarts didn't have time for a reprieve before the giant squid forced his extra-long spanking tentacles into 2 separate windows. They slid through the room and forced the doors open, the pain only adding to Hogwarts' pleasure. The tentacles were in the halls now, massaging the long stone tunnels. You should probably do this part, Enigma.
It says the squid.
This was incredible.
The squid thought. He really should have done this ages ago. Every tentacle was in a different window. No schoolgirl, no matter how many movies she made, could hold all 10 tentacles at once. Each one moved differently and with a different pace, driving Hogwarts crazy with the inability to match his speed. He felt a familiar feeling and doubled his efforts. Ink exploded all over Hogwarts, some finding its way into the windows. He unified his tentacles somewhat, completely focused on Hogwarts. He must be close. Then it happened. Water shot out of the faucets, toilets overflowed, and bread set in ovens to keep warm by thoughtful house elves exploded.
There's an expansion!
Hogwarts shook violently to his foundations, rousing Filch from bed and sending house elves and Mrs. Norris scrambling for cover. Even Hagrid heard the groan of stone and came running. They searched around the castle and through the castle, but found no sign of intruders. Most perplexing was the sticky ink on one side of the castle. Hagrid peered through the dark towards the lake, but was unable to see past the ripples left in the wake of the giant squid. The giant squid slipped beneath the waves, wanting to grin even though his beak was incapable. He anticipated a very short summer before the professors and students returned, so he had better make the most of it.
Ta-da!
I want to know who had this idea and committed themselves to sitting down and writing this down.
That's what I said, like, who was on the drugs necessary to say, what would happen if a giant squid fucked the Hogwarts building?
They really weren't squidding.
What do we think? Just no.
Squid, it's a squid, not a kid.
Good try, Priest. There was an attempt. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I have an inkling we will not be seeing a sequel.
No.
Good.
Oh, God. Oh, it took a second with that pun.
Yeah, I got that immediately, Priest.
What, it didn't paint your walls fast enough?
Eh.